The Mishnah finished off by saying that the big day lavan that the Kohen Gadol wore, he wore two sets of big day lavan. So the first set was from Pelusin, which was more expensive. Two opinions in the Mishnah, one that was 12 mana and one that was 18 mana. And in the afternoon, when he put on the big day lavan again, it was from Hinduyan. And that was either 18, that was either 800 zuz, or according to the second opinion, it was 12 mana, which is 1200 zuz. Okay, and the total was 30. The second opinion of the Mishnah says the total was 30. That was Reb Meir, right? The Chachamim said the total was 30, and he wanted to add to that. He put in some from his own money. Zakti Gemara, my parva. He was in the Lishkas HaParva. That's where the Kohen Gadol went to the mikveh. My parva. What is this word parva? Why was it called the chamber of parva? Rabbi Yosef parva amagusha. Rashi explains that parva amagusha means mechashif echad b'na, a certain sorcerer, a kishuf. He built it, and his name was parva. So that's why it was called parva. Okay, Zakti Gemara Vayter. Parson Sadin Shalbutz. They spread out a linen sheet when the Kohen Gadol went to the mikveh. My shna shalbutz. Why of linen? To remind him that he realized that today's different. Today is a day that he's going to be serving with big day butz, the linen garments. Okay. So in the morning he wore linen from Pelusin. It was worth 8. According to the Chachamim Shita, it was 18 mana. Zogti Gemara. V'tana minyana asal ashmeinan. The Tana Minyana is the Tana coming to teach us the numbers. Like what's the importance of the numbers here? If it's worth less, you can't do the avodah. The total number when he says 30 is coming to teach us that if it's a little less, costs a little less in the morning and a little more in the afternoon. As long as the total is 30, then he's okay. Less than is no problem.
That's the value of the clothes?
Yeah. What's the total of 30?
Otherwise, you can't. If the value drops?
He's not allowed to spend less than 30. He has to spend 30.
What if the market's going for less than 30?
When he bought it,
I guess he has to buy
better,
more expensive clothing.
High quality.
Yeah, you get even better ones.
No, but sometimes it just drops. I think there's another thing like that with carbonas, right? One of the carbonas has to be a certain value, and if it drops that level, you can't bring it. Can't remember which one.
I don't remember.
There's one the Torah gives us Meshkala.
Right. So it has to be minimum value.
Right, it's one of those things. No, sometimes like the just market.
So you get a pair for the next year.
It's flooded, right? It's from China.
I guess the markets were a little.
You go to a seller who's selling it for twice everybody else, so you buy it from him.
Yeah, there'll be sellers for that too.
You see, there wasn't that many. Pelusin and Hindu, whatever that was, there was a place which produced the linen. So you couldn't replicate Pelusin linen. You couldn't have like one guy making it in China for cheaper. Then it wasn't Pelusin. It was Chinese. I don't know.
It's possible.
Yeah, it has to be Persian. Exactly. I'm not sure. Okay, so now the Gemara says, less than if you take from here, add a little from here, and subtract a little from there, as long as the total's 30. But everybody agrees the Shachar Adifi. Everybody agreed that in the morning it had to be more expensive, better linen. Minolan. How do we know this? Amar Rav Huna b'Reder Rav Eloi. Amar Kra. Rav Huna says, Rav Huna son of Rav Eloi says, because the pasuk says bad. Okay, so it teaches us muvchar bebad, the best of the linen. And to explain these 4 bads, we go down to the bottom Taisvis. There's 2-line Taisvis over there. Bad, nirali, chad legufe. One time when it says, so just to explain what it means, bad, it doesn't say it in a row. It says in the pasuk, soinas bad kodesh, yilbash, umichna say bad yiyu al basarai, ubaavnid bad yachgar, umitznefes bad yitznaif. Big de kodesh hem rachas ma'amas b'sarelation. Right? It says the word bad 4 times in the pasuk when it's describing the Kohen Gadol's clothing. Taisus explains, nirali chad legufe. One time when it says bad, it's to teach us that it's linen. Chad bad lashon lavad. One time when it says bad, it doesn't mean really bad like linen. It means lavad. I think it means like alone, like only that. Only vad. She'ein loivesh imahin big days of. He can't. In other words, he cannot mix the clothing, linen with the gold clothing. It has to be separate. Like he does all the rest of the year. Ubad shlishi, when it says bad the third time, it's teaching us that it has to be even better than the rest of the year. V'haravi, and the fourth time when it says bad, in the morning it has to be better than in the afternoon. Okay, Inami bad shlishi v'ravi midrash hachi bad hamufchash bad is the best of the best. But the Pashup Chat is the Taisus explains. One is for bad itself. One bad doesn't mean linen; it just means alone. One bad is to tell us it has to be better than the rest of the year, and the fourth one is in the morning is better than the afternoon. Okay, Meisvei Frakti Gemara from a Brisa. It says in the pasuk, "V'lovshu begadim acherim." In the afternoon, it says he puts on other begadim. V'lo yikadshu esa'am bebigdeihem. Okay, that's referring to something else. But the main point is my love, when it says acherim, it's coming to tell you cannot wear these anymore. It's not good enough. It has to be better. Chashuvin mehen. It has to be even more chashuv in the afternoon. So this is the kasha from the Brisa. Maybe the afternoon should be more expensive. And for the Gemara, loy acherim pchusin mehen. No, it doesn't mean that. It means acherim is other ones that are less expensive. Tani Rabbi Huna Berei, Tani Rav Huna Bar Yehuda, Ba'amri La Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda. Some say it was Bar Yehuda. Achar shekalsa avodas tzibur, kohen she'asa. Oh, right. So a kohen gadol, that when he finishes doing the avodah of the tzibur, a kohen gadol she'asa saloi imay kataynus. If his mother, so we had this earlier in the Masechta. If his mother made him a kataynus, a tunic, loivsha, he can wear it. V'ovid ba avodas yachid, and he does an avodah with it that is. Avodas called an avodas yachid. Like for example, they explain here that it's the taking out the spoon and the frying pan from the Kodesh Kodashim. That's not part of the kapara for the tzibur. It's just something that Kohen Gadol has to do. It's upon him to do it. So that's called avodas yachid. So that he could do with his mother, the coat that his mother sewed for him. He puts it on top of the avodas, on top of the big day lavan. As long as he gives it over to the tzibur. In other words, he's not allowed to wear a personal garment. He has to wear something which is of the tzibur. So if his mother made it for him because she was very proud that her son was the Kohen Gadol, so she made a special coat for him, he can wear it as long as he gives it over. He gives it over to the tzibur. It's the tzibur's coat, but he was wearing it. So affecting Gemara Pshita, it's pashut that he has to give it over to the tzibur. Maybe since his mother made it, it's very valuable to him, it's very dear to him. He won't give it over with a yafa like the Leib Shalem, Kamash Malan. That it's okay. Okay? Amr Allah Rabbi Shmuel ben Pavi. It was said upon Rabbi Shmuel ben Pavi, who was a Kohen Gadol, his mother made him a coat worth 100 mana. So that's like 1,000 zuz. V'loivsha, and he wore it. V'ovid ba avodas yachid, and he did the avodas yachid, like we explained. He took the spoon and the mashal tzibur, and he gave it over to the tzibur, so it was perfect. But Rabbi Lazar ben Charsim wasn't the same. Amr Olav Rabbi Lazar ben Charsim, she'asa lo imay kutaynes mishtei riboy. His mother made him a coat worth 20,000. This is a really expensive coat. And his brothers, the other Kohanim, did not allow him to wear it. Why? He looked like he wasn't wearing any clothing. Did anybody hear of the Emperor's clothing? The story of the Emperor's clothing?
Lululemon's.
Yes. The Gemara explains because it was such a fine linen. It was such a fine weave or whatever it was that they were able to see through. They were able to see his skin. So they didn't. It wasn't proper. So they didn't let him wear it. In fact, Gemara, mi mischazi, could they see through? Is it possible to say that they were able to see through his clothing? V'ha'amar mar chutan kafel shisha. The begadim of the Kohen Gadol, if you follow the instruction, had to be doubled over. It had to be 6 times. It had to be woven 6 times over. So how could that be? You could see through the weave. Amar Abaya kechamra b'mizga. It's just like you could see wine in a glass, even though the glass is very thick. It's, in other words, what Abaya is trying to say is that the linen was so fine that it was colorless. It was see-through. It was like glass.
You folded it 6 times. It still was thin.
No, but the I think what he's saying, if I understand correctly, he's saying it wasn't that you were able to see through the weave. You were able to see through the thread. You were able to see through the actual garment. It wasn't that you were seeing in the holes. Because if you fold it over 6 times, you're not going to see through the holes.
Maybe it had a little...
No, it wasn't the pores. The Havamina was the pores.
He's describing it that you couldn't really see through the skin to the skin.
Yeah.
But you could see a darker image underneath.
Here, let me see. Let's see if we could read. What does Rashi say over here? Rashi says, "Kiyayin hanira michutz lekli zchuchis ve'afal pisha haschuchis ava."
Thick 6 times.
But it was so thin.
Listen to Rashi. Rashi says, "Kechamra b'mazga." It's like wine in a glass. Kiyayin hanira michutz lekli zchuchis. It's like wine which is seen on the outside of a glass keli. Ve'afal pisha haschuchis ava. Even though the glass is thick. Kach haya hapishtan mutzav v'nira b'sari mitaycha. The pishtan the linen that he's wearing here, you were able to see through. Were you able to see through? Yeah, it's too good. It was too good.
It could be a little guzma there too. Huh?
Yeah.
This is the
style of the Gemara. Yeah. But they didn't let him wear it. It was too nice, too fine. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan. We learned in a brayso. Ani v'asher v'rasha. Boin ladin. A poor person, a rich person, and a wicked person.
Sounds like a joke.
Yeah, I know. Coming to a bar, right? Boin ladin. They're going to be judged. To the ani they will say, why didn't you learn Torah? I was a poor person, I was busy trying to make a living. They'll tell him, were you more poor than Hillel Hazaken? They said the story, famous story with Hillel Hazaken. This is very appropriate because you'll see it happened it might have been this Friday that it happened. Kufas Teves, we say, right?
Yeah.
He was every day he used to work enough to get a coin of a trapoik, which is like a chatzi dinar, and then he took that chatzi dinar, a very small amount of money, half of it he would give to the guard at the Beis Medrash so he could come in and learn, and half of it he would use to support himself and his family. One time he wasn't able to find even the half dinar, the one trapoik. And what happened? So the guard at the door of the Beis Medrash said, "I'm sorry, you can't come in." He went up on the roof and he lay over the skylight so that he could listen in to the Kadesha Yishma Divrei Elokim Chaim Mipi Shmai V'Avtalyon, so that he could hear from the words from his Rebbeim Shmai V'Avtalyon, the words of the Torah. Amru Aisei Hayayim Erev Shabbos. It was Erev Shabbos. Utkufas Teves Aisa. It was middle of Teves. It was very cold. It was the winter. V'Yarad Allah Shelag Min HaShamayim. Snow came down from the heaven. When it came light, I guess on Shabbos, this was on Shabbos, we'll see in a second. Shmai said to Avtalyon, Avtalyon my brother, every day at this time, the house in the Beis Medrash gets light, and now it's dark. Maybe it's cloudy. They looked up, they picked up their eyes, and they saw the form of a person on the skylight. They went and they found him. Alav rum shalosh amos sheleg. They found around 3 amos of snow on a hill.
It was about 5 feet.
What?
It was covered by.
Yeah, it's around 6 feet. Yeah, it could be 6 feet.
6 feet.
4.5 to 6.
6 feet.
It could be up to 6. What?
Yeah.
It's like it's
I know.
Foot and a half.
This morning in Yerushalayim.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Didn't have that much today.
But in Yerushalayim now they have a lot of
6 feet.
A lot of snow. Yeah, 50 centimeters.
A meter.
Yeah. Okay, parkuhu. They dug him out of the snow. They washed him off. And they smeared him with oil. They treated him. V'hishivuhu keneged hamadur. They put him next to the fire. This is all on Shabbos. Amru, and they said, Raizel chalal alav es Shabbos. For this great person, Hillel, we could be mechal Shabbos.
Koch Nefesh.
Koch Nefesh, yeah. I was wondering also why only him. Anybody, right? Koch Nefesh. Yeah.
More things.
It's questionable whether you can save someone who consciously endangered his own life.
He didn't realize
He fell asleep.
He fell asleep.
Climbing up on a roof. Climbing up on a roof, A. B.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what they say to a poor person after he comes up to Shemaim if he didn't learn.
Okay. Try,
Asher, the rich person.
try a different line.
Amrim Lai, mipnei mai lo yasakta b'Torah. Why didn't you learn Torah? Im Omer Asher Hayisi, I was too rich. I was rich. V'Torah Hayisi ben Chasai, and I was very busy with my business. Amrim Lai, klum Asher Hayisi Yosem Rabbi Elazar. Were you more rich than Rabbi Elazar? Amru alav al Rabbi Elazar ben Charsaim. They said on Rabbi Elazar ben Charsaim, Sheniach le'aviv elef ayaris. His father left him over 1,000 cities by Yabasha on the dry land. Ukenegd on elef sfinas bayam, and corresponding to that 1,000 boats at sea, ships, whatever. Ubechal yom v'yom, and every day noitel noit shel kemach. What would he do? This very, very wealthy man. He would take a sack of flour on his shoulder, al ksefay on his shoulder, umahalech me'ir le'ir, and he would go from city to city, medina to medina, country to country, to learn Torah. That's all he cared about. Pamachas mitzauhu avadav. One time, the servants, the workers of the servants of Rabbi Elazar, they didn't even know who he was. They found him. V'asu boy angaria. They took him and they forced him to work because in that city, the city was owned by Rabbi Elazar. He was the owner of. He owned it. But the people there, like as a tax, they said, no, you have to serve. You have to do the service for the city. Amar lahen b'bakasha mikem, I beg you, henichuni, leave me alone. Let me just learn Torah, because they didn't know who it was, obviously, right? Amru loy, they said to him, like in the name of Rabbi Elazar ben Charsaim, we're making a shvuah, we're swearing like he's the great ruler of the great owner of this city, of this country, whatever it was, and we can't allow you to go. We have to make you work. So you see from here how little he had to do with his business. He just learned. They didn't even recognize him.
So he told them, or he doesn't say?
No, it doesn't say the end of the story. It's left for imagination.
Give him a raise.
Yeah.
You're all fired.
From his whole life, he never went to see like the people that were working the cities. All he did was learn Torah day and night. Okay, Russia, a wicked person. So we're talking about a Russia here, obviously, who indulges in his taivas, which we'll see. And so he comes up to Shemaim, and they're going to say, why didn't you learn Torah? I was too good looking. So I was very busy satisfying my Yetzer. Were you better looking than Yosef at Tzaddik? Amru alav, it was said on Yosef, al Yosef at Tzaddik, b'chol yom v'yom ha'isa eshes Potifar, the wife of Potifar, every day, mishtadalta, she would work, she would try, b'dvar, she would try to get him to sin with her, b'dvarim, with words, she would try to talk to him. Begadim shalav shalai, shachris, lalav shalai arvis. She would never wear the same clothes in the morning and the evening. She would switch her clothes. Begadim shalav shalai arvis, lalav shalai b'shachris. Whatever she wore in the afternoon or evening, she wouldn't wear the next morning. You keep changing her clothing to look good. Amr Lai, she said to him, Hishamali, listen to me and like agree with, sin with me. Amr La Lav. Yosef said no. Amr Lai, Hareni Chayvashtecha Bebeis Asurin. I'm going to lock you up in jail. Amar La, Hashem Matir Asurin. He said to her, no, Hashem takes people out of jail. Hareni Kaifefes Kaimascha. I will beat you or make you bent over. Like you won't be able to stand straight. So he said to her, Hashem Gzakev Kefufim. So she said to him, Hareini Misamas Enecha, I'll blind you. Hashem Pakechivim. Hashem makes people see. Opens the eyes of the blind. Nasnalai Elaf Kikari Zuv. She gave him 1,000 loaves of silver. Lishmaya Eleha, in order that he should listen to her. Lishkav Etzla, Liyaisima, to lie with her, to be with her. V'loy Ratzah Lishmaya Eleha. He didn't want to listen to her. Lishkav Etzla Ba'elamazeh. He didn't want to lay with her in this world. And the result would be that he would be with her together in the next world in Gehenna. Okay, so Nimtza comes out of all these three stories that Hillel Mechayves Aniyim, Rabbi Elazar ben Charsaim Mechayves Vashirim, Yosef Mechayves Harishayim. These three great people were Mechayev people in their own category. So nobody's exempt from learning Torah. Says the Mishnah. Baalei Eitzel Parai. So the Kohen Gadol now. The Kohen Gadol throughout the day said 3 vidois on the animals. 2 of them were the parchatas, and 1 of them was on the Sarah Mishtaleach. We'll see later. But right now, the Mishnah tells us Baalei Eitzel Parai. The Kohen Gadol comes to the parai, his par. In other words, the parchatas, which is going to atone on him, on his sins. Uparai haya oimed bein ha'ulam v'lamazbeach. The par, this bull, was placed between the ulam and the mizbeach. The ulam is the antechamber, where, like the entranceway before you get into the heichal. So if you come in from the east side of the Shari Niknar and you come towards the west. As you go towards the west, towards the Ma'ariv, you come to the heichal and then to the Kodesh Kodashim. It gets more holy as you go. So the Mizbeach was before the ulam. So this par was standing between the Mizbeach and the ulam. Bein ha'ulam lo Mizbeach. Raizel Adoraim. The animal was facing south. Okay, it was facing south. Upanav Lamayrav, but its face was facing west. So if you're looking at the whole Beis Hamikdash, like east to west, or if you have a picture, so the animal was facing north to. It's going to be too small to show.
Yeah.
Where am I looking? Oh wow, that's a real fancy picture. It doesn't show the whole picture, just 3D. Okay. So basically, the mizbeach is over here and the ulam is over here. So the animal is north south. It was facing south, and the head was towards the west. The head was looking towards the west, towards the heichal. Take things to the next level, right? Yeah.
Video.
It was facing south, but panav, its face lamayrav, was bent towards the west. The kohen oimid b'mizrach, and the kohen was standing on the Gemara is going to explain that you couldn't have the animal from east to west because they didn't want it to defecate and facing the mizbeach. So they had the animal facing north south. But the face was towards the west, towards the heichal, and the Kohen Gadol would stand on the east side of the animal. So he would stand like on the east side, as its face faced west. The Kohen Gadol would stand behind its head on the east side. Okay, the Kohen oimed b'mizrach upanav l'ma'ariv. The Kohen Gadol's face was towards the heichal, towards the ma'ariv, towards the west. Soimich shtei yadav alav. He put his two hands on it. Umizvada. He said vidoy. Lekachaya oimer. If anybody knows the tune, they could sing along. Ana Hashem. Avisi pashati chatasi lefanecha. I sinned. 3 levels of sin. Lefanecha ani ubesi. Me and my household. Ana Hashem. Kaper no. La'avoinais v'la'peshoim v'la'chatoim. V'she'avisi v'she'pashati v'she'chatasi. Lefanecha. Before you. Ani ubesi. Hakasa b'seresh Moshe avdecha. Like it's written in the Torah of Moshe, your servant. On this day you will atone. And the Kohanim that were standing in the Azara, they would all answer, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusai La'olam Va'ed. Okay? Have a good Shabbos.